Today, we're going to do math. I hate math. That means if we're going to do math, then it is straightforward shit. And it is straightforward shit that I constantly have to refer back to and remind people of. So I'm saying it's straightforward shit. And sometimes we forego the straightforward shit for the more complicated shit. So I want to keep us on track. And I want to be straightforward. I had a couple of conversations this week, and there were, shall we just say, some misunderstandings because of the disconnect with the math of the work to be done in the business. Okay. So you guys have seen my recent, or I would assume you've at least seen the titles of some of my most recent videos and YouTube videos and lives and things like that, talking about scalability and growth. And I've also thrown in there that leaky bucket mindset, right? And that is the amount of money and the amount of business you are losing by not understanding this math, okay? So this math episode fits perfectly into this, what I call the leaky bucket of your business, which ties directly into your inability or your lack to scale a business and therefore grow a business. Okay. So we're going to keep this straightforward. You must be thinking of numbers like these and math like this often. And you're going to see this is simple math. It is not complicated. And the metrics of success in a healthcare practice are not complicated. And I went through this. Remember, everything I share, I went through. This is where the passion comes from, because I don't want you guys making my mistakes. I really don't, guys and girls and peoples. I don't want you making my mistakes. And I kept adding metrics on metrics on metrics because I kept trying to get to that deeper understanding. And then I got so lost in the metrics, I didn't understand really what were the most impactful metrics. And you're going to see there's numbers in here, and I will tell you what metrics, right, that you need to focus on and think about when you're looking at this. So let me share the screen with you. All right. Let me make this, I don't know if it makes it any different, but hopefully that's a little bigger for you guys. So here's the math. Metric number one is your capacity, right? We are in right now a capacity business. And I would argue whether you're doing fee for schedule or subscription plans, it's a capacity thing. How many people can you accommodate in your current business? Okay. So in your current practice, right, you have one provider, two providers, three providers. There is a capacity cap on these people, right? How many visits, how many whatever can they deliver? How many units of service can they deliver, right, in a month? And I like capacity measured. I like everything broken down to monthly, okay? So what I want to start our math with here and looking at the importance of this leaky bucket mindset and keeping a hold of the people that have raised their hands to do business with you, okay? If you have the ability to put 300 visits on your schedule in a month, then we say your capacity is 300 visits a month that you maxed out, okay? That's your capacity. And these are made up numbers, but goddamn, they are all in the ballpark. And most of them are low for what I've been doing with. So when you see me telling you I've made people $18,000 a month, $15,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $7,000 a month, month after month after month, this is the math we started from. And this is the math that they typically weren't focused on. I won't say they didn't know this math, but they weren't focused on this because they didn't understand the impact. So 300 visits a month, this is your capacity. From here, we then want to know average revenue per visit, right? And again, these are rounded numbers because I'm not a math guy. So we're going to say we're looking at a business, and you insert your numbers into here. We're looking at a business with a capacity for 300 visits a month with an average revenue per visit of $100, right? We then look at what is the cancel no-show rate. So I'm bundling these into one. And this is about average for what I deal with, okay? So we start with capacity, your visits in a month. We started with your average revenue per visit, every 30 days, $100. And then this would be the cancel no-show rate for a month, 20%. So we got capacity, we got average revenue per visit, and we got canceled no-show rate. 3 key metrics of your business, because we can reverse engineer anything out of this. So let's start doing the math. So now we're going to look at, what does that cancel and drop? What does this, how does this financially impact your business? So everybody knows their capacity. Everybody knows their cancel rate, but rarely when I and they'll tell me off the top of their head. And then I say, well, tell me, what's the financial impact? Well, and I'm like, you don't do the math regularly. Don't forget, all these leads that are on your schedule, either follow-up visits or new patients, cost you time, money, and energy to acquire. And that's another metric that most people don't measure, is customer acquisition cost. And because we get lazy around customer acquisition costs, we lose track of the value of this number here. Okay. So customer acquisition cost is not something we're going to dive in today. Just understand, and you understand, there's the time, energy, and money of your whole team to manage this person, to put them onto the schedule. And when they no-show or cancel, there is a monetary amount attached to that. And that's what we're going to figure out now. Okay. So we got 300 visit capacity in a month. We're averaging $100 per visit. And we have a 20% cancel no-show rate. Now let's do some math. At 300 scheduled visits, 20% of that is 60 lost visits a month. I don't give a shit about your wait list, because that is a waste of money. And that is a whole nother, and it'll probably be the next video I do, right? Having a wait list does not counter this. That is, by the way, that is big mindset error number one, right? At a 20% cancel no-show rate, you have lost 60 visits. And if you say, well, I had a wait list to fill that, that is 60 visits that you could have added on top of the 300 already. You see where I'm going here? This is where you're stunting your growth and your scalability. 300 scheduled visits, 20% of them cancel or no-show. That's 60 lost visits a month. Now we're doing math again. 60 lost visits a month times just the visit rate, right? $100, is you are losing $6,000 a month due to your cancel no-show rate. So this is the number that people drop. So is this good? Is this bad? It's math. It's just a number right now. We're losing $6,000 a month of potential revenue based on a 20% no-show cancel rate. Here's where math gets better. Because really, I like to extrapolate it out monthly and track it monthly, and then extrapolate out yearly, right? So $6,000 a month times 12 months is $72,000 a year. That's salary. That's someone's salary. So you're basically losing someone's salary every year based on a 20% cancel no-show rate. So I talked about customer acquisition costs and all this time, money, and energy that goes into this. And then I say it's costing you someone's salary. So if we move this 20% to zero, which is not feasible, we could pay someone's salary at the end of the year, right? This is money and time and energy already spent, right? This is the work I do for people. This is where we start. And I say, well, zero is not a possibility, but what is? And I say, well, let's do this. Let's cut your cancel rate in half. I've done that for a lot of people. 30 to 15, 20 to 10, 15 to 7. So let's just say now, right? Now, everything stays the same. Capacity is the same. Average revenue per visit is the same. But now we lower your cancel no-show rate by 50%. So we're going to lower it to 10. And by the way, I believe 5 to 8 is a realistic number, but I want to keep the math simple here. And I like to lowball things. So now let's look at the math. That's 300 scheduled visits a month with 10% no-show drop-off rate. That is half of the visits lost. So now you have 30 lost visits a month. Again, this is growth and scalability, my friends. 30 lost visits a month times $100 is you're losing $3,000 a month. Okay. Which By the way, there is a floor on this, so there is a budget to be made, but we're going to keep this math going forward the same way. That's $3,000 a month, right? Times 12 months is $36,000 a year. So now we've gone from losing $72,000 a year to losing $36,000 a year. Here's the upside. The net gain of that is $36,000 a year in your bank account. So even though I say it's a loss, there is a gain because this was money already in your business, right? So if we drop your cancel rate in half from 20 to 10 in this math equation, which you can insert all your numbers in here, we have now put $36,000 a year back into your bank account. This was money on the table that you brushed aside into the trash can at 20% cancel rate. I say, let's get 10% of it back. So let's grab 10% of that and let's put it in the bank before you wipe it off the table. Now, I would argue we're going to budget, right, cancel rate into our expenses because we're going to lose visits every month because life goes on. So we have a net gain of $36,000 a year, which is what? $3,000 a month by cutting that cancel rate in half, by focusing on these people that have already come into our ecosystem, that have already come into our business, right? By focusing on them, there's a customer acquisition cost. It's time, money, and energy. You know, it's really interesting. I had a call with someone this week and they wanted to talk to me about this, right? About lowering their cancels and drop-offs. And then they tell me their team says, we don't have time to do the calls like Jerry wants us to do. And I'm like, well, people, in the old system, you were losing $72,000 a year. So you tell me if there is time, energy, and money to be invested here. And I'd be like, yeah, because whatever time, what I love is this equation with time. We don't have the time. And I'm like, well, your current use of time is resulting in a loss of $72,000 a year. By the way, let's figure this out real quick. If you tell me you don't have the time to do it and you're managing 60 lost visits a month, wouldn't it be better if we just invested that time at the top of the funnel and turned it into 30 lost visits? So actually the time you get back is not having to manage 30 more lost visits a month. The downstream effects of this stuff is insane. So, right, in this model, this map, this is where I get to these numbers and can show people very quickly the results of the work to be done, right? Without any new marketing. These were visits on the schedule. These were new patients on the schedule. These were reoccurring patients on the schedule, right? Just dealt with a clinic that has a 30% cancel rate. Let's cut that in half, right? Bigger impact. I would argue get 30 down to 12, 10. Huge impact. $36,000 a year. And I just made these numbers up as I went. I just used round numbers based on people I've talked to recently. I went, okay, 300. And then I did these slides. And the next one I went 100. I didn't know where the math was going. And then I said, okay, 20. And then I just kept doing the math and just saw we ended up here. $36,000 a year back in your bank account. Now, if you're already profitable, this is $36,000 a year into your pocket. This is $36,000 a year for you to redistribute, to invest into your building, to put into your personal account, to invest in better benefits for your team, to what? Pay bonuses, to buy new equipment, to potentially hire new staff, right? $36,000 a year. This is going to fund, right? This could be a fund 3, 4, 5, 6 month emergency fund. This could fund your whole, right? Your emergency fund. $36,000 a year, right? And now you saw the next slide, but we're not even talking about drop-offs and wait lists. You got my bias on that. But, right? I'm just going to put this in your head as we start to in this video. Think about, I said $100 a visit, yet every new patient has a lifetime value amount, has a course of care amount. So I would argue we have lowballed this number. We're not going to talk about this right now, but think about drop-offs. People who are on the schedule for 3 visits at $100 a visit. You say, well, got $300 and they just canceled that one, so I lost $100. I'm like, well, what's your average course of care? Oh, $1,500. I'm like, you lost $1,200 on that patient. So when we look at like those 60, right? How about someone who drops off at visit 3 and there's no future visits? Then we add in those visits. Now that $72,000 probably is closer to $90,000 a year, $100,000 a year. So we have to look at these not as visits. Visits is the easy way to calculate it. Visits gives us a pretty significant number. But then when I say, okay, you had 60 people cancel no show. Okay, how many of those were short of completing a course of care? So actually, we should take all those people, multiply them by the number of visits they needed to complete a course of care. Now that loss goes through the freaking roof. That is the leaky bucket issue. All your money, all your value is in this. Cancels, drops off, no shows. There's no amount of marketing that can return the ROI of just managing the current people in your business. I already mentioned the wait list. If you have people on a wait list, that is lost growth. That is lost money. Someone on the wait list for Wednesday who wanted to get in, who can't get in, even if they get in on next Monday, that's a $100 loss. So I would take everybody on that wait list and multiply that by a number. I had a clinic currently was so busy and their drop off or their cancel rate was so high. They're like, why should we worry about this? We got someone on a wait list to put them in there. And I'm like, that's your growth. And that was the team mindset. The team didn't care about cancels because they had someone else to put in. I'm like, so you, the owner, you, the practice manager, have enabled these people to be okay with cancels and drop-offs and no-shows because you have a wait list, yet your wait list is your value, is your future, is your money in the bank, right? If there's 60 people on the wait list and you decrease your no-show cancel rate by 50%, then you got to hire new people. That's 60 lost visits. That's the way you got to start looking at this, man. Waitlist is nothing to be proud of. So this is for another episode. The last thing I want you guys to think about is, yeah, you do 300 visits a month. You average about $100 a visit. Cancel rate's 20%. I come in and I say, I'll knock your cancel rate in half. What's your budget? When I come up with my price, I'm looking at this number. The impact, by the way, if we work together for 3 or 4 months and whatever you pay me, in month 5, this continues. In month 6 and month 38, this continues. So I'm not doing a one-time, right? A one-time hit. I'm not bringing you no product or service that you run and try to run people to every day. I'm showing you how to monthly increase your revenue by $3,000 ongoing till the end of time. No new marketing, no new services, no new products, no new staff. Not only does this number behoove you and have you look at the future bigger and brighter, but it has you understand, right, what is the value of getting that no-show cancel drop-off rate down? What is the value of getting my wait list down? What is the value of having to hire a new PT to accommodate all this increased load? Well, if you've put your systems in place, your scalability systems, then you can accommodate the growth and you've built in the efficiency for a greater profit margin. If you hire a PT and your profit margin doesn't go up, then you haven't scaled properly. Is what it is, right? And no judgment. I did all this. But this is what you got to be thinking about, because when you tell me your budget to do this work and you give me some round number thinking, well, I'd pay a consultant, $500 a month to do this. I'm like, to make you $36,000 a year in a system that will continue to reproduce long after you've forgotten that consultant's name, right? So just keep that in mind, right? As you're asking people to help you scale your company, grow your business, what is the value to you in the long run? And this is not a pitch for me, you have got to get yourself into a growth mindset, and you have got to, I'm going to say it right now, spend money to make money. And if you're constantly chasing someone, right, and looking at your growth and your scalability and the people you hire, the experts you hire, your mentors, your coaches, your consultants, as commodities, well, and this one's cheaper, you're going to get burned. You want someone who can show you those numbers I just showed you. You want someone who will be held accountable to those numbers. Because if I show you those numbers and say we're going to cut this 50%, then guess what? You and I are going to be looking at the same numbers every day, every month. I price based on that $36,000 a year number, right? A percentage of that. And I say, look, it's going to cost you, $13,000 to do the work. And all you do is divide however many months by the number and say, we can't afford that. I'd be like, how much longer can you continue to afford to lose $72,000 a year, $100,000 a year when we start looking at drop-offs and courses of care? So there is our math project for the day. All right. I hate math, like I said, but I think this is straightforward. So take your numbers, take your capacity, take your average revenue per visit, take your canceled drop-off rate, no-show rate, and start doing the math and look at the money you're currently leaking, bleeding from your business before you go add new marketing, before you go add new products, before you go add new services, before you add new team members. The sooner you fix a leaky bucket, then the business will fund itself like it should be. Then you will be ready for scalability and growth. Remember, it's not growth and scalability. It's backwards. The scalability is what creates the ability to accommodate the growth. Okay. So a lot of stuff to think about. Love this. Love this. This is really good. And again, if I'm doing math, it's because it's simple and straightforward, right? And again, I rarely looked at these numbers like this. So again, in here today was capacity, average revenue per visit, and then cancel no-show rate, which are three of your key business metrics, right? Right. I've got my list of like 3, 6, and 11 metrics. That's it. That's it. It's tapped out at 11, insanely tapped out at 11, but I've done this 6 ways to Sunday, right? Certain team members, I just got looking at 1 or 2 metrics, right? I might sneak a peek at 11 of them, but really nobody else is going to be looking at 11. They're going to be looking at the 3 to 6 that matter most to the business. These are 3 of them. Cheers, everybody. I appreciate your time and your energy, and look forward to more. If you want to chat, feel free to comment in the down below, or if you want to catch up with me, you can always message me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere else, and I'm happy to have a conversation. And go to my Facebook group, What's Best for the Patient is Best for Business. We're having some great conversations around this stuff just this week. This is probably part of what spurred this. Got people talking about no-show evals and stuff like that. And I'm like, a no-show eval is not a $100 visit. An eval who no-shows that, right? I'm doing the math at $100 a visit. The value on that is insane. The lost value. Whew. All right. Cheers all.